Okay. Hi guys, my name is Brianna Madback. I am a political science major, and for my capstone paper, I decided to research political polarization over the course of the last 50 years. Okay. So my abstract, this capstone project will conduct research upon the increasing topic of polarization in parties and the representation of the people and why this has happened. I will examine polarization over the course of the last 50 years and what this says about our government and our representation. Despite our representation being either Democratic or Republican, many individuals in today's society obtain ideals that fall in the middle. You can never be fully on one side. Even though we do not operate fully on one side, these representatives and citizens have voted for becoming, I'm sorry, the representative have voted for becoming increasingly polarized over the course of the last 50 years. Therefore, I will examine what this says about our representation through academic works. So what is political polarization? Political polarization can be defined as the divergence of political attitudes to ideological extremes. It is a situation in which two groups create each other through democratic on the frontier between them. The dominant political frontier creates a point of identification and confrontation in the political system where consensus is only found within the political camps themselves. With this being said, political polarization is a result of heavily divided sets of attitudes in regards to political issues and policies. And due to the difference in these attitudes and the set division, the mass polarization causes a threat to the nation. So let's take a look into our government, and this will explain why we have become polarized. So in the United States, we have two main voting parties. We have the Democrats and the Republicans. When an individual considers themselves democratic, this individual believes in a system of government that is upheld by the people or the citizens. In other words, the Democratic Party rules by the majority and believes in equality in terms of rights. On the other hand, the Republican Party believes that power in the United States is held by the representatives elected or the people. With this being said, both parties have certain characteristics that align with their party ideals. Republicans are conservative and right-leaning, while Democrats are left-leaning. This image basically compares and contrasts the difference of beliefs. So Democrats, economic policies benefit low-income and middle-income families, whereas Republicans advocate for supply-side economics that primarily benefit businesses and investors. Democrats argue that reducing income inequality spurs economic growth, and people are more likely to spend than save and invest. Republicans, on the other hand, argued that tax cuts on businesses allow them to hire more workers, increasing demand and growth. Democrats believe that the economic theory that government should spend its way out of recession, while Republicans believe that they should support the pursuit of prosperity without government interference. And lastly, Democrats believe that some research shows that economic growth is better under Democrats, and Republicans believe that business-friendly approaches make many Republicans believe that it is better for the economy. Okay, so for this, I'm basically showing you how political polarization has increased from 1994 to 2014, and from 2014 to 2023, there has been a gradual increase. And I will explain this more through a study conducted on the next slide. So the purpose of this was to explore the divide between the candidates who identify more on the left and others who identify more on the right. It was a multi-party series based on 10,013 adults nationwide. The survey was conducted starting on January 23rd, 2014 to March 16, 2014 by the Pew Research Center. The survey was more in a quiz form that asked individuals their opinions on political issues and our government system. There has been many different research studies conducted on political polarization, but the graph that I demonstrated on the slide previously explains that the extent to which members of both parties have become more consistent as a result and further from one another. While responses to 10 questions are scaled together to create a measure of ideological consistencies, the median Republican is now more conservative than nearly all Democrats, which make 94% of our population. And the median Democrat is more liberal than 92% of Republicans. This is another piece of information. It's a graph showing the differences between liberal, mixed, and conservatives from 1994 to 2014. And in this study, according to the Pew Research Center, it demonstrates how ideological constellation nationwide has happened on both the left and the right side of the political spectrum, but the long-term shift among Democrats stands out particularly, and the share of Democrats who are liberal on all or most dimensions have nearly doubled from just 30% in 1994 to 56% today. And it has quadrupled from 5% to 23% over the last 20 years. So why does it matter? As political polarization has increased, we are no longer being represented to the full extent as we should. Due to this, as political polarization also affects ideology, candidates are more likely to only vote for policies that align with their beliefs based on where they lie on the political spectrum and not the beliefs of the mass population. So has it increased and why? So it has increased, and there are many reasons that can explain why it has. Some of these reasons are social media, economics, negative partisanship, politicians themselves, and these are all just some of the reasons. So social media. As you know, social media has quite an influence on individuals. Through outlets such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, these social media outlets can persuade individuals to believe certain political beliefs, which causes political polarization to increase. However, due to these many different social media outlets, misinformation is spread. According to a study, it showed that rising political polarization is attributed to the fragmentation of news media and the spread of misinformation on social media. In the study that they conducted, they assessed how social media has shaped political polarization through the use of quantitative and qualitative approaches. The result of the study showed that over the last 10 years, political polarization has increased. This is due to the fact that all experiments found that social media can further ideologically polarize people. Studies also found that exposure to negative tweets about candidates, uncivil Facebook comments, as well as Twitter posts can make people more polarized. Moreover, social media causes selective exposure. Social media increases political polarization by creating online political echo chambers. In other words, it's exposing individuals to partisan and content over time to selective exposure. As a previous study conducted, they randomly assigned 14 Americans to not use their Facebook accounts for 4 weeks. The data here showed that without the use of these social media outlets, political polarization was actually reduced, and so was the issue of policy preferences. Selective exposure comes into hand as media fragmentation and polarization create a situation where new users are confronted with an abundant choice of media outlets that have different ideological leanings. Audiences may seek out media outlets that best fit their interests and preferences, thereby creating their own information based on their own beliefs. Economics. Due to the different income inequalities, political polarization has increased. There are many factors that can explain political attitudes towards social justice. These factors include homosexuality, prostitution, abortion, divorce, and suicide. And using these 6 variables, 4 of them represented that the economic division causes an increase, and this is due to the fact that it is judged as an individual's political attitudes towards social justice and democracy. Through these divides, political polarization increased as the connection between income inequality and political polarization globally chimed with the general argument with the widening gap between the richest and the poorest is closely tied to the emergence of polarization. Income inequality is growing rapidly and it's a very important factor in political divisions. Furthermore, income inequality causes harmful consequences to economic growth and development. And the vicious cycle of poverty increases inequality, which thereby increases political polarization. So negative partisanship and politicians. Negative partisanship is defined as partisan behavior driven not by positive feelings towards the party you support, but by negative feelings towards the party you oppose. After a study conducted, data proved that a 2016 Pew poll found that self-described independents who tended to vote for one party or the other were driven more by negative motivations. The majority of both Republican and Democratic leaning independents said a majority reason for their lean was that the other party's policies were bad for the country. And this goes hand in hand with politicians themselves. The way that politicians align with their beliefs causes individuals to do the same. And when an individual is against one belief, negative partisanship comes into play, causing a political divide. Results. Based on data and research, it is prominent that political polarization has increased for multiple reasons. Political polarization has many benefits that come along with it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The largest reason that political polarization is significant is due to the amount of participation it brings, allowing issues to be given the proper attention it needs. Moreover, political polarization affects political engagement. Overall, political polarization is a prominent issue that has gradually increased over the last 50 years and will most likely keep increasing. These are my works cited. My paper has a lot more, but this is just what I used on in my presentation. But yeah, that's all. Thank you.